It's a little confusing, but I can figure it out. Are we going? Are we? Okay. What's going on, guys? Sorry about the little layoff that I had. There's a couple of reasons, actually. My mother just moved into a new house, so I've been helping her out with that. Last couple of weeks, it's been a bit of a hassle getting all the stuff out of the old house and into the new house, but um, she's finally in it now. So she's excited. I'm excited. It's a pretty nice place. We've been in Jackson, Mississippi pretty much our whole lives, and now we're out in Madison, which is about like 15, what do you say, like 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes? No, it's not. It's like 10 minutes away from Jackson, so it's a bit of a difference because after everything that's been going on in Jackson, so I've been ready to get out, and now we are. Also, another reason why I haven't been recording is because I just started back school last week. If y'all don't know, I'm a college student, and this semester is going to be pretty tough, so yes, it will. So I don't know. We're going to be putting out content as much as we can, but just with all the school and stuff going on, we're going to try and get it together as much as we can. Got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today. But first, I want to talk about The Rogue. As you guys know, we're always sponsored by the guys over at The Rogue of Jackson for over 50 years. They've been serving up the finest quality of men's clothing from all their, most important lines: Jack Victor, Peter Millar, True Grit. What else? There's so many. Martin Bingham. I mean, there's so many. I wear a lot of this stuff myself. I get all my suits from The Rogue. All my collegiate polo shirts that I wear to play golf in, I get all those from The Rogue. And you guys should go get them too. So go visit them at their website, therogue.com. That's ROGUE.com. See, I spelled it right that time. Or you can go visit them at their store if you live in the Jackson metro area. They're off the 55 Frontage Road in Jackson. All right, so pretty interesting. Get to my notes here. Pretty interesting, pretty good weekend of football last weekend with the divisional round. Damn. I'm going to be coughing a lot throughout this, so just bear with me for a little bit. Pretty good week with football. The divisional round was last week. We saw a bunch of fun games. The Bengals, Bills, Chiefs, Jags, what else? Eagles. Well, that wasn't really a fun game. That was just a beatdown. Eagles, Giants, 49ers, and Cowboys. But I only wrote down two of these games that I want to talk about because it's really the only two games that I actually watched. Or not watched. There's ones that I really paid close attention to. And the first one is the Bills and Bengals game. I went back and rewatched a lot of those highlights today of that game, and the Bengals just had complete control the whole entire time. I mean, they put their foot on the gas at the very beginning of the game and just didn't let up. It was just all Bengals all game. The Bills just really weren't able to get going. I'm not really sure what that was. I mean, this was arguably one of the most important games of the season for them, with DeMar being out and they had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. They were Super Bowl favorites at the beginning of the season. But, once again, they fall short again in the divisional round, just like last year. But, it's not like last year or the year before that. It's not, an overtime rule or the defensive line. The defense didn't commit with 13 seconds left on the clock. It's different. It's just a loss, and they lost to a way better team than them. So Bills fans are definitely feeling a little rocky right now. I don't know any Bills fans myself, but I know that fan base. I know that they are definitely feeling a little difficult, a little rocky right now because it's a tough way to lose, especially the season they've had and everything they've had to go through this year with DeMar, which is one of the scariest injuries I've ever seen in NFL, especially the feedback that we all got from that and all the tweets, Instagram. It was a really emotional time for football, but, the Bills just weren't able to get it done. And I know a lot of Bills fans are upset, but, this is football. There's always next season, so they'll be able to come back and do it again. I think they will, and they'll come back a lot better this year. But the Bengals, they just were rolling the whole entire game. Burrow, like he's talked about many times before, that he's came in and he's proven to the league and to the other teams around him that he's one of the best in the league. I think he is one of the best. I think top 3 for sure, right behind Allen and Mahomes. So and he just was a finalist for the MVP. I saw today on Instagram, so that's good for him. I'm a Southern. I live in the South, so Burrow being an LSU guy, I followed him quite a lot when he was in college. I actually watched him on that 2019 season when they were unarguably the best college football team of all time. They came to Oxford, Mississippi, and I was there, and it was a good game, but obviously almost ended up winning. But it's so Burrow, incredibly talented with his ability to play football, and I'm not going to throw any comparisons right now, but he's kind of given me a little bit of Tom Brady vibes, maybe. I don't know. I think that he has got some crazy potential. I think his ceiling is a lot higher than a lot of people think it is. And that team, I think they definitely are the best team in the NFL. What they've done this season, just completely mow through everybody. And now they get another shot, the AFC Championship, a rematch last year against the Chiefs, which was a very exciting game last year. And I know that it's going to be a bit of a challenge for Chiefs for the Chiefs this year, especially because if you guys watch the divisional round game last week when when Mahomes was playing the Jaguars, he had that really nasty high ankle sprain, which I've had to sprain ankle before, and it hurts, man. It's a high ankle sprain is one of the hardest football injuries to play through, and I read an article today and he said he's ready to go. So I don't know. We'll see. What basically coming in after that sprained ankle against the Jaguars, he came in and pretty much played on one foot the whole time, and he still managed to pull out that win. So it just kind of shows you what kind of player Patrick Mahomes is and what kind of, what he's willing to do to make sure his team wins. And that's really remarkable and something that I really admire about him a lot. But I think that it's going to be a really interesting game between those two in the AFC Championship. It's going to come down to what happens with Patrick Mahomes and if he's actually, 100% and ready to go come Sunday night. So I think that if he is healthy and if he is 100%, then I think it's going to be a very good game. Two of the best teams in the league, two of the best teams in the AFC are going to go at it in Arrowhead Stadium. But the thing about it is that the Bengals have got so much momentum coming into this game. They are the hottest team in the NFL. They've been the hottest team in the NFL for months now. So, it's but this week is a little different because, obviously it's the same rematch of the AFC Championship last year. And one big factor that I always look at when these games happen or when the Chiefs and the Bengals play is that Burrow's 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes. He's the only quarterback to be 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, which it may not seem like that's a factor to play in the game, but it is. With the guy like Patrick Mahomes who's they're all the future of the NFL, Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. All those guys. Stop interrupting me. Guy behind the camera, he's ridiculous sometimes. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. And it's two of the best in the league, going at it. And it's going to be really fun. But I was talking about Burrow and being 3-0 against Mahomes, which is, a lot of people may not think that it's a big factor coming to this game, but it is, especially when it's the AFC Championship and the winner of this game gets to go to the Super Bowl. And right now, I am a betting man, but I obviously can't throw around like thousands and thousands of dollars on bets like all these other guys do. But I'll be putting my money on the Bengals this weekend. That's definitely going to happen. I'm definitely going to be putting my money on the Bengals. I'm really excited for that game. But yeah, AFC Championship. It's in Arrowhead Stadium Sunday night. That place is going to be loud. It's going to be roaring. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in. Probably going to be sitting right here where I am right now watching it. So I'm really excited about it. Let's see. So the other game that I have written down was the 49ers and the Cowboys, the divisional round last weekend. For my Cowboys fans, I know a couple. One of my good friends is a Cowboys fan. I really don't really know what to say for the Cowboys. It's not like I was pulling for the Cowboys because I really wasn't. I'm not really the biggest fan of the Cowboys, but I am a fan of Dak Prescott, because he's played at Mississippi State and he's a little bit close to home, whatever you want to call it. But, I don't know what it is, but I've been watching these playoff games year after year, and the Cowboys are always in it, but then they always find a way to lose and not keep that momentum going that they desperately need. And they're just, I don't really know. Dak had a few signs of life in that game. He had a couple flashy plays, going for it on fourth down, running it on fourth down, throwing it at CeeDee Lamb on fourth down. And the defense played really well that game. The defense carried, I would say, that game. But, just once again, the Cowboys and Dak Prescott just could not get it done. Dak had, I think it was 180 yards and 2 picks. So, Cowboys fans, once again, are disappointed. And I would be, too, if I was a Cowboys fan, just because it's a very tough thing when you go and you're in this same position year after year after year, and then you just lose again. It's almost like they would be expecting it come around this time, but they just, but it happens all the time. So, it's going to take a lot for this head office to go into the offseason and really think what's the main problem, and if they're going to continue with Mike McCarthy, which I think they should, as long as he's been in Dallas, he's done some pretty good things. He's got a good record, just not a good postseason record. Can't really figure out how to execute in the postseason. Most definitely past the divisional round. Can't seem to get out of that either and go into the AFC Championship and have a shot at going to the Super Bowl. So, but the 49ers, on the other hand, once again, they just outplayed. I'm really interested in this NFC Championship game come Sunday afternoon with the Eagles and the 49ers, because Brock Purdy has done really, really well this last leg of the season. He hasn't lost a game because he's been a starter. But he hasn't really played a whole lot of these elite quarterbacks. He's played Brady. He's beaten Brady. He beat Dak. But other than that, it's not really a whole lot of, talented quarterbacks, because the NFC, they don't really have a whole lot of that. It's all over in the AFC where all the talent is. So I definitely think that this is going to be one of the best games to watch, in my opinion, between the 49ers and Eagles, because there's a lot at stake. The Eagles are one of the most dynamic teams in the league to watch. They are just so much fun to watch. I watch the Eagles all the time. I'm an Ole Miss guy, and AJ Brown plays he's WR1 for the Eagles, which is really, really fun to watch him on Sundays and watch him succeed and do well on Sundays. But it's going to be interesting, and I'm really excited to watch this game, because here's the thing. I really love the Brock Purdy story. being Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in the NFL draft, and no one wants to be known as Mr. Irrelevant, but at some point, that Mr. Irrelevant's got to drive you to do something better. And look what he's done this year, ever since he came in and played, and ever since he came in and started over for an injured Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he's just, like I said, he hasn't lost a game, and he's taken his team to the NFC Championship as a rookie. The very last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft is going to be playing in the NFC Championship, which is pretty bizarre to hear about it, because think about, all these other guys. Jalen Hurts, who was drafted in the second round. Burrow was drafted in the first round. So, I mean, it's going to, but here's the thing about the 49ers and how they've got to outlet if they want to be able to even beat the Eagles. Brock Purdy we've seen Brock Purdy play football this year. We've seen that he's a pretty decent quarterback. He's pretty good. But he's really got to show this weekend on Sunday that he is a very good quarterback, because he's going up against one of the best teams in the league. And he's going to have a lot on his plate to deal with on Sunday with that Philadelphia defense, which is just insane and ferocious the way they play football. It's going to take a lot, and I think the 49ers defense is also going to need to step up too, make a lot of good plays. That defensive front, Bosa, they got to get to Hurts, got to bring him the pressure. But this Philadelphia Eagles team, I mean, we've watched them play all year. I mean, we've seen that they have just been constantly dominating the league for the whole entire year. I mean, just win after win after win, and Hurts is putting up an MVP type season. He is a final candidate for the MVP this year. So he's been putting up these numbers that are just miraculous with the touchdown to interception ratio. I think he's thrown maybe, 4 or 5 picks this whole season. I think I'm not really sure if that's right, but I think that's what I saw. But the Eagles have really just kind of turned their program around in the last couple of years after they won the Super Bowl. They're back in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a really tough place to play in. Those Philadelphia people, they're a little crazy. They care a lot about their sports. And it's going to be really, really tough for the 49ers to go into Philadelphia and even try to win. I mean, I'd love to see them win. I'd love to see the Brock Purdy story continue into the Super Bowl. But it's just I don't know. It's just going to be really, really, it's going to be a long night for Brock Purdy, and I hope he's ready, because I know that those Niners fans, they're very loyal to that team, and they're very loyal to Brock Purdy right now, because he's just been outshining everybody. And so like I said, I've enjoyed watching Brock Purdy play this year. I mean, it's those kind of stories of these players and where they come from. It's really something that I like to watch. Purdy being the last guy picked in the draft, and now he's playing in the NFC Championship. And it's just a real kind of like a Cinderella story almost. If he can get this done, and if he can beat the Eagles, then I'm going to say that Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback. And then I think if they do get to the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, then there's going to be some talks in the office about keeping him, or who they're going to go with Garoppolo maybe, or if they're going to keep him. But the way he's been playing, why wouldn't you sit him, or why would you sit him? I mean, he's been bringing on the most wins for the team. I mean, I want to say like 7-0 or 8-0, maybe. I'm not correct. I'm not 100% sure, but he hasn't lost. So that's really impressive when you're a rookie and you came from Iowa State, which I was looking at today. The two of them, Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy, played each other in college when Jalen Hurts was at Oklahoma. It was just a classic. I think it was like 42-41 was the final score. Both of them had insane numbers. And the one thing that I love about Brock Purdy is that he's very experienced. He started all 4 years at Iowa State as a quarterback, so he's gotten a lot of playing time. Some of those guys, they sit for a year or so, and then they finally, but he played all 4 years, so he's got experience, and he knows what to do in a situation. But, this is the NFL. This is not college. It's a little different. But it's going to be one of the, this is obviously what the NFC, this is obviously what Championship Sunday is all about. It's just about the four very best teams in the NFL going at it. That's what this is. And it should be that way. It should be the best teams in each division fighting for that spot to get into the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what we're going to see. The two best teams in the AFC are definitely the Bengals and Chiefs. Obviously they're proven because they're in the AFC Championship game. Same goes with Philadelphia and the 49ers. Two of the best teams in the NFC, which frankly the NFC is not, it's not terrible, but it's, it just doesn't compare to the AFC and all the teams that are over there. I remember in the beginning, before the season even started, it was just I just lost my train of thought. It was the off season, kind of getting into the season, and they were talking about all these divisions and all these big trades that were brought in, with Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, Russell Wilson going to the Broncos, which we all know how that turned out. But that's just 1 year, I like Russell Wilson a lot. He's a very good quarterback, and he's proven that over his years at Seattle. But this year, with him being at Denver, really kind of messed up because people were saying that he was on track to be in the Hall of Fame, which I totally agree. The way he's been playing, and his resume it's very good. But just this year and everything that's happened with the Broncos, and just being one of the worst teams in the league is tough. Especially when the Broncos head office is not so happy about it either, because they just paid him a shit ton of money to come play football and to come win games when they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it this year. I don't know. It was very interesting because that whole division was hyped up the whole year. Raiders, well, obviously we all knew the Chiefs were going to be good, but I was talking with a group of my friends. I remember this before the season started. We were talking about the AFC West, and we're like, this team is legit, or this division's legit, and we were like, I could see any one of these teams making it to the playoffs, and obviously two of them did, but it was crazy seeing all the hype, and it's also really sad and weird to think about how in the NFL season this year there are 3 games left: AFC, NFC Championship game, and the Super Bowl. So that's us football fans, that's upsetting. At least to me, it is. But it's been really, really fun this year to watch the league and see all these young guys, all the rookie guys, see what they've been able to do. Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Kenneth Walker, seeing all these guys come in and seeing what they've been able to do, and this is going to be the future of the NFL. And then you got a lot of questions also going into the offseason about where people are going to go. There's a lot of these big name quarterbacks that are uncertain on where they're going to be come the offseason. With Tom Brady, obviously had a real struggle in Tampa. And my opinion is that he definitely will be getting out of Tampa for sure. And that's just because he wants to win. That's what he loves to do the most, and he just hasn't really been able to do that this year. Not saying that the Bucs didn't look bad this season, because they didn't, but they just weren't like how we know the Bucs to be, which is dynamic and exciting, which they haven't really been that way this year. And then there's talks about Aaron Rodgers. What's he going to do after this season? But, obviously they just signed him a big contract last summer, extension contract. So I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. The QB carousel, I saw this on Twitter the other day, said the QB carousel is about to start spinning. And I'm actually very excited because, as y'all know, I'm a New York Jets fan, proudly. It's It's depressing, but it's whatever. We're on track, though. I don't want to be biased, whatever, because I know you're not really supposed to do that on a show like this, but I'm not going to be biased. But I'm just talking about what's in store for that team in the next coming years, because, I mean, I know a whole lot of people don't watch the New York Jets because they're the New York Jets, and they're just, they're just whatever. But within the next couple of years, I think that I think it's going to be fun, especially if they bring in a veteran quarterback this offseason, which I think they will. I'm pretty sure we'll figure that out in like March or so. That's kind of when the free agency thing starts to really kick off. It's for a whole week. And I don't know. We'll see. It could be Aaron Rodgers. It could be Lamar Jackson, even though I don't think the whole Lamar thing is going to happen. I think they're going to end up working on a deal with him. Brady, I personally think Brady's going to go. I think he should go to the Raiders with Derek Carr stepping out. I think that, or Derek Carr will be traded, but I definitely think that Tom Brady, I think he should move into that spot. I mean, him and Devonta Adams would be an incredible matchup. I mean, incredible duo, and not just him, but that whole team as well, with Josh Jacobs and Hunter Renfrow, and who else? Darren Waller. Will he'll be healthy? Is he still? I don't even know. I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought. Anyways, but yeah, NFL's about coming to an end, and I'm really not really sure how I feel about it. Obviously, I'm a little upset, but the off season is also really, really fun to tune into. There's going to be a couple new coaching hires. I know I got a couple New Orleans Saints fans that are friends of mine, and they're obviously keeping Dennis Allen and their offensive coordinator, which I talked to them, and they're not really happy about it. But I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they draft somebody well. The draft is going to be really fun this year. I'll definitely be doing a show, probably like a mock draft, maybe, where we go through and draft players. I did that. I've done that before, but I had complications with editing and uploading, and this was when I wasn't professional like this, with the camera, mic set up. I was just using Zoom, which, as y'all know, I hate using it, but whenever I have to, I will use it. But yeah, NFL's coming to an end, but it's been really fun this year. I've really enjoyed what I saw, and I'm excited for, obviously, next season. It's a long way away, but it's going to be exciting. But on the other hand, I had to have one more thing that I want to talk about, and it's switching sports. If y'all may or may not know, I'm a really big fan of UFC. I watch it whenever I can, which is pretty much all the time. I watch like fight highlights and stuff every day. But I know I'm a little late to the breaking news, whatever. But if y'all don't know, which I'm sure many of you MMA fans out there will know, is that Dana White announced that Jon Jones was going to be coming back for a heavyweight title fight against Cyril Gane, which is I'm very interested in that fight. A lot of people that I've been talking to, or I've been talking to a couple people about this fight and what they think about what's going to happen between Cyril Gane and Jon Jones. And they say, well, Jon Jones is going to get in there and just maul him, just destroy him. Which that may be true. I don't know. But here's the thing that I really thought about today, is that this is going to be a heavyweight fight. And Jon Jones has never fought at heavyweight before. But he's been putting on that weight over, amount of time, and not really just putting it all on at once, which I know it can do a lot of damage to fighters. And so he's been putting it on for, he hasn't fought in 3 years. So he's been putting it on over this long period of time, because when you go from, he had to put on at least 30 pounds, I think it was, 45 pounds of just straight muscle, which is unbelievable. But it's going to be a really, really good fight. And I'm very, very interested in Cyril Gane and Jon Jones. It's the only, I don't talk about UFC a whole lot. I have previously, but the only thing that I want to talk about is Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane right now. I'll just read from the top what I have written down. So a lot of us, including myself, wanted this massive UFC heavyweight championship fight between Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou. Obviously, there was a lot of complications with Ngannou's contract and whether he was going to move forward or not. I don't know what he's going to do in the future. I know Tyson Fury called him out about doing a match of swordsman boxing, MMA, maybe a mix of both. I don't know, but he's going to get a massive payday doing that. But like a lot of us fight fans, we were expecting a Ngannou versus Jon Jones fight. I mean, that's what we knew what was going to happen because Jon Jones tweeted out that he was coming up to heavyweight, and Ngannou just beat Cyril Gane about a year ago in January. Actually, right around a year ago today, January 27th, 2022, last year is when Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane for the heavyweight championship. Ngannou obviously won. We haven't seen him since. So I don't know what Ngannou's future looks like. I know he's a free agent right now. I know he's not with the UFC anymore. I know he's a free agent. So I'm sure there's other professional fighting industries that are looking for him. Maybe PFL or one. I mean, there's a lot that he can do. I mean, he's a big draw, especially because he's one of the most badass heavyweights to ever come through the UFC. I mean, he's just a freak in nature. I mean, what he looks like, and the way you watch him fight, he's extremely powerful. And when he gets on the ground, I mean, it's scary. It's like you're wrestling a grizzly bear or something like that. Huh? I'll fire this guy. No, I'm just kidding. He just likes to mess with me while we're recording, which is a little ridiculous. No, I'm just joking. It's funny. What else did I written down here? Oh, yeah. So there are some factors for Jon Jones coming into this fight about how... Obviously, you're not going to count him out at all because he's Jon Jones and he's the greatest fighter of all time. And I'll get more into that later. But... obviously, this is a massive weight jump for, like I said, he had to jump maybe 35, 40 pounds to get up to heavyweight. So it's really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see how he's going to be able to manage that weight and how he's going to be able to move around with it. Is he going to be fast? Is he going to be slow? Is he going to get fatigued more easily in fights? I don't know. None of us know. We won't know until March 4th when that fight happens, which I'm so freaking excited. I know I talk about it a lot, but I mean, we haven't seen Jon Jones fight in 3 years. And he's literally one of the best. I think he is the best to ever do it in the UFC in all weight divisions. I have stuff written down. I'll tell you why he is. There really isn't a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the GOAT of MMA. There is no debate. He said it himself. He goes, as far as the GOAT debate comes, he goes, it's over, because he has defended his title 14 times, which is more than he's had normal fights in the UFC. We know him for being mostly a champion because he's only been a champion the last 3-4 years of his career. It just shows you how truly dominant he is. But that doesn't mean that Cyril Gane's going to come up and give him a fight, which I like him a lot. I watched him in September when he fought Derek Lewis in his hometown in Houston, Texas, and just walked in there, completely outclassed him, outfought him, just whipped him bad in the octagon in front of his hometown, his home people in Houston. So Cyril Gane is kind of like this. They're talking about it. This next generation of heavyweights, because obviously when you think of heavyweights, you look at guys like DC and Tuivasa and all these big guys that aren't really necessarily shredded, like Ngannou or Cyril Gane or Jon Jones. But Cyril Gane is becoming like this new generation of what heavyweights are going to be like, because he weighs 247 pounds. He's 6'5", but he runs around the octagon like he weighs 185 pounds. He moves around like he's a middleweight. I mean, it's crazy how fast he is. This is going to be a very two-sided fight in my opinion. There's definitely going to be a lot of punches being thrown. I mean, but if Jon Jones has got an incredible physique he's got I think an 85-inch reach, which is insane. I mean, that's why he outlasted DC twice, was because of his ability to definitely keep his distance, but still being able to move in and take strikes. So it's going to be one of the most intriguing heavyweight fights, in my opinion. I'm really just so psyched to hear about it. I wish my two friends were with me talking about this, but they weren't able to do it tonight. So now I'm doing it. But Jack and Hudson, two good friends of mine, they been on the show a couple times, talk about UFC. We're gonna do it again, 100%. We're gonna try to figure out a time to get us all in person to do it. But whatever, I'm getting off topic. But Jones is incredibly skillful. I mean, I've been spending the past 2 days watching a lot of his old fights, and when he won the light heavyweight championship in 2011, beating Shogun, he just wiped through everybody in that entire division after that. I mean, well, look what he did to. I have all the names written down because I can't think of them off the top of my head. Rashad Evans, Shogun, Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida. I probably butchered that, but Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, and DC twice. That's an incredibly insane resume. He's the most accomplished fighter in the UFC when it comes to how many times he's defended his title. The guys he's fought, it's just been he ran through all of those guys, and he beat Gustafsson. But obviously, that first Gustafsson fight was a little different for Jon Jones because that's, and he's obviously outside the octagon. He's done a lot of crazy shit outside of the octagon. I mean, with the partying and the drugs and the hit and run driving and the car, and just he's been arrested a couple times, and he's obviously had his issues with the steroids and but still, regardless of all of that has happened with Jon Jones, all of the stuff that's happened outside the octagon, people are still pinning him as the greatest fighter of all time. Because it's not, I mean, obviously it's about what goes on in both, but it's more about when you're inside the octagon and when you're in there with the gloves on, and Jon Jones has done nothing but just ran through everybody. And I'm sure he's got a loss, but when you really think about it, it doesn't really count. Obviously, it's on his record, but I mean, it's a 12-6 elbow, which obviously he can't do that. But I mean, that's a disqualification. He's never been knocked out or whatever. He's hardly really. I mean, he's been tested, but he's obviously fought DC, who's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, twice, whipped him twice. He just listed all the names, but I mean, he whipped all those guys, and he's a real special fighter because you're never really going to see another guy like him come into the UFC. And he's obviously the youngest UFC champion in history. He won the title at 22 years old. And he's never really been tested. I mean, you saw what he used. I mean, if y'all have watched him fight, you saw what he did to DC. How he wrestled with him. And DC is known for his wrestling. But Jon Jones outlasted him twice after weekends of partying and cocaine and steroids, which obviously obviously he would win after doing a lot of steroids, but I mean, he's incredibly technical and he's incredibly skillful, and he's one of the most interesting and intriguing fighters to watch in the UFC because of the way he fights. He's got a long reach. He can hit you from anywhere because he's so long. He can reach you from anywhere, and he's just a really true once in a lifetime talent. And I know I'm talking about him way too much, but see what else I have on here that I haven't talked about. Yeah, I think it's also between him and Cyril Gahn. I think it's going to be a bit of a closer fight than what people think it is. I think it's going to, a lot of Jon Jones fights have gone the distance. A couple of them have, more than a couple actually. But I mean, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this fight plays out. It's going to be 5 rounds of just pure violence, which is one of my favorite terms to use with my friend Hudson. We just go pure violence. Because when they get in there, they're going to beat the hell out of each other. I can tell you that right now. They are going to really get in there and just, yeah, exactly. You can't see Trey, but he's out back there throwing punches. But I mean, it's really just, it's what's so good about MMA. It's what's the best part about it. It's just the two best guys. Obviously, Jon Jones is not. I mean, he's the best, but obviously, but it's just 2 of the best guys in the division fighting when they should be fighting, and for the prize, for the heavyweight title, which has been vacant for quite some time now. But I'm really excited to see this. Not just Jon Jones fight, but this 2023 year of UFC is going to be really, really, really huge. I mean, we just had 283 last week, which I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it because I was at an event. But I mean, I was keeping up with it. It was a good card. Jamal Hill, I was really pulling for Jamal Hill, and now I'm really wanting him and Alex Pereira to fight each other because he was with Teixeira, his training partners. And they had a little glance at each other after the fight, but it's going to be really interesting because obviously they have February, March, April, I think planned out. I mean, not 100% planned out, but they have them written down. I mean, so obviously February 11th, Volkanovski versus Islam Makhachev, which is, really this fight is going to determine who is the pound for pound number 1 best fighter in the entire world. Volk just has been dominating his entire career in the UFC. He beat Max Holloway 3 times. He's just been through he's wiped out his entire division as well. Beat Jose Aldo. I mean, he's wiped through everybody. But then you got Makhachev, who may not have the resume quite as Volkanovski does. But the key thing that it is going to play a factor in this fight is that he's been training under Khabib, which Khabib is incredibly talented in this, but he obviously doesn't fight anymore, which I don't even want to talk about that. But I mean, Makhachev he's legit, man. I mean, I like those guys. I'm not really the biggest Khabib fan, obviously. I'm not going to get into it, but I'm just not really the biggest fan of Khabib. But yeah, Volkanovski versus Makhachev is going to be one of my most anticipated fights of the year. Obviously, Jones and Gahn is going to be the best fight of the year, in my opinion. But I mean, got a lot of good stuff coming up. And it was just announced, I think a couple weeks ago. Usman versus Edwards, the trilogy, which that's going to be awesome. It's going to be really, really awesome. I'm a big fan of Leon Edwards. I like the way I like these guys like Usman and Adesanya, but for some reason I don't know what it is, but for some reason I find myself liking the guys that they fight more than like when Pereira came in and beat Adesanya. I was like, yep, I'm a big fan of his now, and I've been like that ever since. So I mean, it's going to be really fun this year of UFC. There's obviously a lot of stuff that hasn't been announced yet, like summer. Summer is a really big time for the UFC, and I know that they're going to get a couple big cards planned for summer. Hopefully going to see Conor McGregor's name thrown in there. I don't know. We'll see. The main thing with Conor is that he's got in the USADA testing pool. I mean, I saw something that said that his piss would melt that cup, which if you've seen what he looks like, I mean, he's huge. I mean, he probably walks around at maybe 190, 200 pounds, maybe. I don't know. And it's a guy, and he's going to stick to fighting at 170 because obviously going back to 155 is a huge weight drop from 190 to 155. And, Michael Chandler called him out, and that's going to be the fight to make, apparently, between those two. And I love to see that. I mean, two characters really going to go at it. Conor, obviously known for his talking, and Chandler can do the same too, and Chandler can fight. Chandler's a really, really well-rounded wrestler, and Conor is known to be one of the best strikers in UFC history. There's other people you can throw up in that category, but he's obviously always kind of in the mix for best striking. That left hand, it's obviously, you saw what he did to Jose Aldo. It took him 13 seconds to beat an undefeated featherweight champion of 10 years. It's very impressive. And he's another like once in a lifetime guy like Jon Jones. I mean, the two of them together are actually really funny. There's a video of them two talking pound for pound. Conor was like pound for pound number one with the pound for pound number two. They're funny together, and they're. So I'm hoping that Dana works out something with Conor in the next couple weeks. Obviously, it's going to come down to his testing pool, because a lot of people are questioning if he's shooting steroids, which I wouldn't be surprised if he is. He probably is. That's why I think they're going to try and give him enough time to where it's out of his system so he can get in and fight. I mean, because you're talking. If Conor comes back, he's going to get a massive payday. Chandler will as well. I mean, it's going to be fun. And the UFC, they're always so good at making fights that people want to see. Obviously, the one fight that I want to see that I still haven't seen, but it probably will never happen now because Nate just became a free agent. It's the trilogy between Conor and Nate. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen. Nate's a free agent now. It's in the PS, whatever Jake Paul is in. I don't know why Jake Paul's doing MMA now too, which is weird. I don't know how that's gonna work. Thought he's supposed to box. I thought he was supposed to box next month. I think he still is. They said that he was supposed to go with Tommy Fury. They've like the third time they're trying to make this fight. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. There really hasn't been no like official announcement for that fight, so I don't know. I'd like to see that fight. I've told everybody that I'm truly convinced that Tommy Fury is going to be the guy to beat Jake Paul. I know everyone probably think I'm nuts for saying that, but I don't know. I feel like with the amount of times, like it's kind of like a Khabib versus Tony Ferguson situation. If you know well enough, they try to schedule that fight like 6 or 7 times, and it never happened. And I'm a huge Tony Ferguson fan, and I thought that if that fight were able to happen, then I think Tony Ferguson would have definitely given Khabib one of his toughest fights of his career, And it's just been really, really fun to watch over the last couple of years how Tony has elevated himself. Obviously, he had a really brutal knockout from Michael Chandler with a kick to the face. So... yeah, fun time to be a fight fan. I'm really excited. We got, in terms of boxing, I don't really keep up with a whole lot of boxing, but I keep up with Gervonta Davis, and he's fighting Ryan Garcia. You know who Ryan Garcia is? The guy that's like really fast with his hands. Yeah, they're supposed to be fighting. I'd like to see that. I don't know. I don't know about Jake Paul either. I really don't care anymore, to be honest. I mean, I know I come on here and I talk about Jake Paul a lot, but I don't know. Yeah, who even is that? I don't know. I just want to see something with Jake Paul. I want to see him. I know y'all have heard it 1,000 times. I've said it 1,000 times. He needs to fight an actual boxer. It's the last time I'm going to say it. But I mean, it's true. It's true when you really think about it, because retired UFC fighters is just not going to cut it if you're actually trying to make it as a legit boxer, and you want people to think that you're a legit boxer. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how Jake Paul, how his career is going to fan out in the UFC. not in the UFC, in boxing, and then in this new MMA league that he signed with. I think it's PFL or PSL. Trey, could you look it up for me real quick? Jamie? Nah. I just wanted to see, I can't remember the name of it, but PSL, is that what it is? The fighting league that Jake Paul moved into for the MMA league. I think it's PSL. Anthony Pettis is in that league, and he called him out too. If y'all know Anthony Showtime Pettis, he was a badass. It is PSL? PFL? Okay, PFL. I don't know. Probably stands for Professional Fighting League, if I had to guess. Wouldn't you say?
Professional freaking loser.
Yeah. One day, y'all are going to be able to, whenever he warms up to get in front of the camera, we'll do it. It'll be fun. But that's pretty much all I have. Really appreciate y'all for sitting down with me today. I really enjoyed doing this. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm sorry for the layoff. There's just a lot of stuff going on. I got a really important semester coming up, so going to be working really hard in the classroom, but also going to be trying to get as much of this as possible. Yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see y'all next week. Peace. Bam!